Hey, Mike, check it out.
Cupcake State.
Did your boyfriend leave you? Come on. Buck up for the suds, pal.
Piece of shit.
Play with now.
Want to play with me?
Oh, you want a piece of this?
Anybody else want to play with Cupcake?
Hey, buddy, Tom.
Are you a man?
Yeah, I'm a man.
I miss, you get a shot. You miss, I get a shot.
I'm ready.
Okay. Gotta be quick.
Just take your best shot, pal.
This is the man's man, and I'm the Cupcake. Here we go, man! Put your hands up! Ooh, that's disgusting. What is that, halibut?
Forrest Taft works as a firefighter and explosives expert on the oil rigs of Alaska. Calm under pressure and highly skilled, he's the man Aegis Oil calls when things go wrong. And things go wrong often. The film opens with Taft responding to a catastrophic blowout on one of Aegis's offshore rigs. Flames shoot into the sky as workers scramble for their lives. The situation is seconds away from total destruction. Taft moves straight into the fire, calculating angles, pressure points, and timing. With precise detonations, he cuts off oxygen to the blaze and extinguishes it before the entire rig explodes. The workers see him as a hero, but Taft sees something else. The blowout wasn't just bad luck. Equipment that should never fail under normal conditions malfunctioned. The accident feels engineered by negligence. That suspicion grows when he notices how quickly company executives try to downplay the incident. Aegis Oil, the corporation behind the rigs, is racing against time. Their newest and largest refinery platform, Aegis 1, must be operational before a strict deadline. If it isn't online in time, oil production rights, purchased from a local tribal council 20 years earlier, will revert back to the native community. Billions of dollars are at stake. To meet that deadline, CEO Michael Jennings has been cutting corners. Foreman Hugh Palmer, who supervised the blown rig, privately shares his concerns with Taft. Palmer has noticed a pattern of substandard parts being installed across multiple sites. He suspects the company knowingly approved defective materials to speed up construction. Taft decides to look deeper. Using his technical skills, he hacks into Aegis's internal computer system. What he finds confirms the worst. Internal memos show Jennings authorized cheaper, faulty components to save time and money. The blowout wasn't an accident, it was inevitable. Palmer plans to contact the Environmental Protection Agency with proof, but before he can act, Jennings is informed that Palmer is asking questions and that Taft accessed restricted files. Jennings responds decisively. He orders his ruthless chief security officer, Magruder, and his assistant Otto to eliminate both men. Magruder and Otto break into Palmer's isolated cabin in the wilderness. They search for evidence and demand information. When Palmer refuses to cooperate, they torture and murder him, staging the scene to look accidental. Meanwhile, Jennings sends Taft to investigate another reported accident at one of Aegis's facilities. Taft arrives and quickly realizes something is wrong. The building appears damaged, but strategically so. Before he can escape, explosives detonate. The structure erupts in a massive explosion. Taft barely survives. He regains consciousness in a remote village, rescued by Masu, daughter of Seagal, the chief of the local Yupik tribe. The tribe has long opposed Aegis's operations, blaming the company for environmental destruction and poisoned land. As Taft recovers, Seagal confronts him. He explains how Aegis bought drilling rights decades ago with promises of safety and responsibility. Instead, they left pollution, dead wildlife, and damaged ecosystems. If Aegis 1 becomes operational before the deadline, those rights remain with the company. If it fails, the land returns to the tribe. For the first time, Taft sees the broader impact of his work. At Seagal's urging, Taft undergoes a vision quest, a spiritual trial meant to force reflection. In the vision, he sees the destruction from above. oil spreading across water, animals dying, land scarred permanently. He realizes that by protecting Aegis operations, he's indirectly protected the damage. He makes a decision. He will stop Aegis 1 from going online. Before he can act, Aegis security tracks him to the village. Magruder leads an armed team demanding Taft be handed over. Seagal refuses. The standoff turns violent. During the confrontation, Magruder shoots Seagal. Taft returns in time to hear Seagal's final words. The chief urges him to defend the land. Taft promises to bring down Aegis. Now fully committed, Taft and Masu head to Palmer's cabin, hoping to find evidence. Among the wreckage, they discover a computer disk Palmer hid, containing detailed documentation of faulty parts and proof of Jennings' corruption. But they're not alone. Otto and 3 armed guards track them down. Taft sets up an ambush using his combat training and environmental awareness. In a swift and brutal encounter, he eliminates all 4 men. Jennings escalates again. He hires a team of mercenaries led by a seasoned operative known as Stone. Their mission is clear: kill Taft and recover the disk. The mercenaries pursue Taft across the Alaskan wilderness. Taft counters with guerrilla tactics, setting traps along narrow mountain passes and forest paths. One by one, Stone's men fall to carefully placed explosives and ambushes. In a final maneuver, Taft lures the remaining mercenaries to a remote shack. As a helicopter provides aerial support, Taft detonates explosives, destroying the shack and obliterating the helicopter in a fireball. Stone's pursuit ends there. With the deadline approaching, Taft shifts to the final phase. Taft and Masu arm themselves with weapons and C4 and infiltrate the massive Aegis 1 refinery complex under cover of darkness. Taft begins by sabotaging the main power grid, forcing the system into emergency shutdown and reboot. During the confusion, he releases hydrochloric acid gas into key areas of the refinery, creating panic among workers and security. He plants C4 charges on major oil storage tanks and inside the control room, setting them to detonate in sequence. Jennings, already at the facility to oversee final activation, learns of Taft's infiltration and orders all remaining security forces to hunt him down. What follows is a relentless battle inside the refinery. Taft fights through armed mercenaries using firearms, improvised weapons, and raw force. He defeats Magruder in a direct confrontation, ending the man responsible for Palmer's murder and Seagal's death. Stone also falls during the chaos. Finally, Taft confronts Jennings. As alarms blare and explosions begin triggering across the refinery, Taft condemns Jennings for sacrificing lives and land for profit. Jennings attempts to flee through a maintenance area, but Taft lassos his leg with a heavy cable and hooks it onto industrial machinery. With a final shot, Taft triggers the mechanism. Jennings is dragged upward and dropped into a massive pool of oil sludge below, consumed by the very substance he exploited. Taft and Masu escape the refinery in an Aegis truck as the timed C4 charges detonate. A chain reaction of explosions tears through Aegis 1. Oil tanks erupt, structures collapse, fire engulfs the platform. Aegis 1 is destroyed before it can go operational. With the deadline missed, drilling rights revert back to the native tribe. The incriminating disk exposes Aegis's corruption publicly. Instead of being arrested, Taft becomes a whistleblower. The film ends at the Alabama state capitol, where Taft addresses lawmakers and citizens. He warns about corporate greed, environmental destruction, and the long-term consequences of unchecked oil exploitation. The battle may have been fought with fire and explosives, but the message is about responsibility. And this time, the land survives.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.